So we have the first 7 train was purchased. We're starting operating round 1, and of course GWR is first on the docket. So I'm going to put the camera over here because I learned that you get a glare if we do it the other way. Gray tracks have been upgraded, so these videos are going to slow down significantly because we need to get gray stuff on the board. The gray stuff is the premium stuff. This is the best in the game. And I will draw your attention to 2 things. The first one is these are the regular cities, and they're worth $60. There's usually plenty. With this many government companies, we may actually run out. These are the gray Y cities, and there's not plenty. We thought it was bad with the browns. It's going to get even worse. And here you can see that they got screwed. Remember the Y cities here were screwed. And that's not going to be the case now because GWR gets to go first. Now the other thing is there is no gray whistle stops. So these browns are as high as you go. So yes, we do need to spend track points, but the track points are going to not be, it's not going to be as crazy, right? Because when we were upgrading whistle stops, we were upgrading regular cities. So in this case, we just need to get regular cities. And so the metropolis is definitely where the money's at. So London's going to upgrade to an insane amount of money, and so will the other Birmingham. But my recommendation to you is that when you are at this phase of the game, you take the Y cities while they still exist, because those are your limited resource. Okay? Always think about limited resources in this game, and so it's going to cost 4 track points to upgrade this. We've been suffering with this at a green, and we shall suffer no more. We're going to go to brown and then automatically go to gray. And you might be thinking, well, hold on a second. You can't go to brown unless you actually have a token. And that is correct. That's why we're going to go to gray with this one first. So we go to gray with this one, and this brown goes in the pool, and then we'll use that brown to go here, and then, you know. So we're just saving ourselves some steps. So we're going to buy 2 grays. One of them, of course, is going to go here. Now, I did notice, for whatever reason, my copy of the game is missing a Y city, a gray Y. And so I always tell the players that we have one more pure spider. It's the pure, all directions. But the players in my game always forget. And I'm just going to let you guys know that that's the case. They do have a component count, and you can count how many you have, and for whatever reason I'm missing one, and I'm betting that I used to have it, and just through all the 40 playthroughs we've done, one of them got misplaced somehow, but I can't find one anymore. So I'm down on my luck in that regard. But so what I'm going to do is use that here. So we're going to just say that Liverpool is that missing component. And because this is a perfect spot for a all directions tile. We never go there except for government. So that was 6 track points to do that. And that was money well spent. Now, the 2 big money makers are not going to exist for me. So the drawback to going first is, of course, I'm not going to make as much money. But I think that was worth it because now we guaranteed that England is going to have what it needs. So we said that was 6 track points. We now have 3 more. And here's what's crazy. We would like to get Lille up so we can come back through again. It's not as important for us, but that is a valuable option. But what we're going to do instead is we don't have enough to upgrade our capital city, but we're going to at least upgrade this one and get these going, because our government does use them. So that's it. That's all we can do. And then we can lay 1 more track. And so, for example, I can put a whistle stop here. I don't know if there's any value to it. I'd have to reach across the table. So let's just assume that I did. And for the purposes of the video, let's move on. Now, we are at 9. So we have a 3 plus 3 all across the board. So we can do a 9 plus 9. The red zone is only worth 50. So it's no longer as valuable for us. So that's why we want to get all of our stuff upgraded, but 50 is still better than these $30 cities and $40 cities. So you can see we're struggling getting Britain upgraded all the way. So we have 90 for London, 80 for Birmingham, and then 80 for the 2 Y cities, so that's 4. And then 60 for the 1 gray city, that's 5. And then we'll do 50 for the red zone, that's 6. And then you can see I have a $40 city for 7. And then I have to go down to 2 $30 cities for 8 and 9. So that gets me to 540. And then from a whistle stop perspective, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 100. And then I have to use $10 ones to do the rest, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is pathetic, to be quite honest. Britain needs a lot of upgrades. And I think one of the issues is I used Lawnmower to upgrade the bypass around Berlin. And if I would have used Lawnmower to help the government, see, that's what happens when you don't help your government. So $68 a share is what GWR pays out. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So $476 for Mr. Wellington and $204 for Medici. So for Medici, I'm going to grab $205 and give $1 back. And then it was $476 for Wellington. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 50, 75, 76. Okay, so that's going to end the turn for GWR. And like I was saying, GWR is going to move up again. And we're going to run into the situation where he's going to get screwed at the end of the game. Because I just really wish that the designer of the game would have added another one. But this happens a lot, and it hurts. Because he's going to hit this. He's worth so much more than the other companies, and then these other companies are just going to catch up to him. Okay, so it's now our turn, DSJ. Now, DSJ uses London, so we may end up helping Britain out there. We also use St. Petersburg, and we use Constantinople. So we have a lot of choices. We can also upgrade Copenhagen. One thing. Let's go back and see if there's any 4 trains for GWR to buy. GWR is going to buy this 4 train from Lawnmower. So Lawnmower is going to get rid of, so he's going to be doing those 3 trains. And yeah, that's it. So that's going to be $175 for Lawnmower, which he already has a ridiculous amount of money, but that's what we want. We want him to be able to buy a gray train. That's very important for a Lawnmower. So that frees up a train spot for a Lawnmower to buy a train. That was a very important thing not to forget to do. So now moving back to DSJ, and that's what reminded me of it, is DSJ only has 1 train because we did the same thing for him. So he has a 6+6. And we're going to want to do 1, 2, right? Those 2. And then probably St. Petersburg for 3. And then we're going to hit Northern Sweden for 4. And then Copenhagen for 5. And then Narvik for 6. And we won't get into London. Actually, we will. Well, we're going to get into... We have a 1+1, so we actually have a 7+7 situation. We could skip Israel to get into London, but Israel is actually worth more than London because the red zone's automatically upgraded. And so we may actually want to count Moscow. We'll figure that out because the red zones are upgraded, so they're more valuable. And just so you know, New York is worth 160. So it is very valuable as well. Now, with only 1 train, I can't do much there. The other thing I can do is I can try to get like a port coming out of Germany here, but it's not easy. I think the path going through St. Petersburg is fine. It's just, you know, it'd be nice to skip Copenhagen somehow. And how you do that is you lay the track across this top of where my calculator is sitting. You would lay track straight across the top of Norway. And that's when I had my strategy video, I was telling you about having a company, like a government company in Norway that can do that. And that's why you would do that, is right now I'm annoyed that I have to stop in Copenhagen along the way. So it'd be really nice if I could just zip right across. Now, looking at my money situation, if I had a ton of extra cash, I would zip across. I'd spend my 6 track points to just plow right through there. That's a stupid idea at the moment, but that's what we could do. I can upgrade Constantinople because it'll help me. However, everybody else will do that. And so you always have to think, somebody's got to eventually do it, but, you know, should I do St. Petersburg, which I think he did when it was his turn last time. I'm not going to make it to London, so I'm not going to help them. There's no point. I'm looking at St. Petersburg, I'm looking at Constantinople, and I'm looking at Copenhagen as my candidates for doing upgrades. Britain helped us because Scotland is actually upgraded here. So that we do have a gray zone. So if I have to do a 7+7, I'm going to hit that. And it's already gray. So that part's good. So remember our rule. Do the limited components first. So we got to do the Y city, which is Copenhagen. And that's what we want to do first. So let's do that one. And that's going to be 2 track points. And Copenhagen can use a full spider. So it's not like a rare one. So we're going to use a full spider for Copenhagen and get that updated. And I'm very pleased that we were able to do that, because it would have hurt even more if we had to live with a brown track there for the rest of the game. So now the other thing I'm going to do is radical. I'm going to suffer and take less money for myself in doing this, but I'm going to help my government. SB doesn't go until much later in the game. And so I'm actually going to upgrade 2 Y cities in Austria-Hungary so we can, remember, limited resource. So I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, and I'm not going to upgrade any of the capital cities. The capital cities have reserved tokens for them. So you can wait until the end to upgrade those. So we're going to upgrade this one. And this is important because I just spent a whole lot of money to have all 10 shares of SB. And if I'm going to invest all that money into SB, I'm banking on SB making money for me. So I'm going to use my track points to help me in the SB zone. You see how that logic works. So I'm trying to stay in line with my investment here. I'm going to help my investments. Now that means I didn't upgrade Constantinople, so it's not as good. It means I didn't upgrade St. Petersburg, so it's not as good. But in the end, I'm helping myself in other ways. So let's go ahead and get this run going. So we have Levant, Israel, for 120. Yes, you read that correctly. It is now worth 120. Now, obviously, Constantinople is still 80. But the bonus now, since we're in the gray phase, is now 100. So that's, yes, Constantinople was now a $180 stop, and it's not even upgraded yet. Then we're going to get St. Petersburg for 80. So that's 1, 2, 3 stops. And then the northern Sweden was worth a whole bunch for us, but it actually dropped to 100. So not quite as good, but it's still very good. So that's 4 stops. And then we can add Moscow for 100, so I'm going to do that. So that's 5 stops. And then Copenhagen would be 6, and that's 80. And then we're going to add Narvik, and that one is 120. So we just had an amazing set of... We only had one location that was under $100, and that was the Copenhagen for 80. So now we have 7 plus 7 whistle stops, and I guarantee you we have 7 $20 whistle stops. So we do 7 times 20, that's $92 a share. And then we have a Pullman, which adds another $60. So we just got $98 a share. I think we were at $100 a share with 2 trains the last round. So that is very, very good. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 98 times 8. We're at 784 for us. So I'm going to grab a 500. And give ourselves some money. Since we're at our stock limit, it's not good to accumulate a bunch of 100s because everything from here on out is just cash at the end of the game. So 700. So you're going to find that people are you're going to want to like make change for yourself a lot when you start having a lot of hundreds or whatever. And it also helps with game cleanup. That if players are starting to consolidate their smaller bills into larger bills so they can have fewer actual poker chips, it's helping to put away all the poker chips too, right? Because you're helping to put away the game. So anyways, it's 784 for us. And then Medici does have 2 shares, so he's getting 196. And I see a big stack of hundreds, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him $200, and we're just going to put it on the board for him. And when we go to him, we'll make sure we take $4 away from him. So DSJ does go up on the stock board. And we have money. Lots and lots of money. And I was going to buy two 5D trains. But here's the thing. A 4D train is going to be less money than a 5D. But remember, as soon as somebody buys a 5D, it triggers the end of the game. So it's really hard to have 2 5D trains because you're spending end game rounds with only 1 train and you're not making as much money. So I'm going to buy a 4D, even though it's a 7 train, because it's going to help me to get set up for the end game. And then I will buy an 8 train whenever I get that chance next round. I have a real strong feeling an 8 train is going to be bought this operating round. So this game is coming to an end very soon. So it's $850 to buy the 4D. Now, a couple of things with this 4D. It doubles the value of any city, but it doesn't double the OE bonus. So remember how Constantinople was a $180 city? Technically, it's an $80 city with a $100 bonus. So what you would do is you would double the $80 part, but not the $100 part. The bonus does not get doubled. And then the other thing is if you have a 1+1, that does not get doubled either. So that hurts a little bit, but not too much. Having another 1+1 is still very, very nice. And here's what's really cool. Since this is not doubled, you know how we had to hit Copenhagen along the way and it was a dinky $80 city? You can make Copenhagen the 1 city that this is doing. And then this doubler is hitting all your bigger cities. So it's almost like you're skipping a city, right? But you still get the money for it. So it's a pretty sweet little setup. So 850, there's 500, 600, 700, 850. So easy money right there. Now, the other thing is my poker chip stash is set up in such a way that it actually represents the bank for the game. So you might be wondering, well, how do you know you haven't bankrupted the bank? All my poker chips are the bank. It's set up per the rules exactly. And that's why you see these extra poker chips in here. These extra poker chips are not part of the bank. So anytime you see me take from there, I'm taking more than what I'm supposed to have in the bank. And so the fact that I have $1,500 here just means that technically speaking, I should have taken $1,500 out of this bank. And the bank only goes up to $100 bills. So I don't want to have 100 stacked up. I have every bit of confidence that I'm not bankrupting this bank. But just so you know, that is how I set this up, and you can do similar kinds of things. Okay, DSJ is done. MSP is up. MSP is not a government, so he's going to make some good money. He's disappointed we didn't upgrade anything, but he understands the strategy. And he's going to do a similar thing because he has Y cities in his country. So, and he has two governments that depend on those Y cities. So he is not going to let us get screwed in Russia. So we're going to go to MSP here. And I'm trying not to destroy the tracks. And the situation in MSP looks like this. And I'm grabbing 2 Spider Ys. The beautiful part about Russia is all those red zones automatically upgraded, although Archangelisk is at its max, and it was at its max in the last era. So MKV's Y City is upgrading, and then the Warsaw is going to get upgraded. So you can see the strategy already. Everybody's being selfish about the Ys and leaving the Metropolis alone. And that is pretty normal in a multiplayer game. You're going to see that as well. And even if you don't see it, just internally laugh at them while you take all the Y cities for yourself and they don't get any. So right now, Russia is secure. There's no Y cities left in Russia that we have to worry about. So he spent 4 track points. He has 2 more to spend. And the issue there is, where is he going to go? He can upgrade like a regular city to gray, which is not a bad idea. But I think he actually has a whistle stop issue for his governments. So he's going to use this perfect opportunity to upgrade this double whistle stop to brown. And that'll help the governments to have enough whistle stops for their runs. And so we're good to go there. Okay, so what's his run going to be? Obviously, he's going to do an OE run, and he can actually go to Levant because he's one of the 3 tokens that are in Constantinople. He did hurt himself because, oh, sorry, I just bumped my knee against the table. He did hurt himself because he didn't upgrade the Metropolis, but he has, looking at his trains, he just has a 5+5 and that's it. So we're going to do Levant for 120. We're going to do 180 for Constantinople. So that's 2. And then we can do Moscow for 100. That's 3. And then 80 for St. Petersburg for 4. And he only has 1 more left. And we can just do one of those $80 Y cities or $80 red zone. It doesn't matter, for 5. So that's $560. The next thing is this this lumber company still exists, and now it is a $60 whistle stop. That is an amazing whistle stop. So now he gets to add $60 for just 1 whistle stop, and then he has 4 times 20 for the others. So he just did a $70 a share run on 1 5+5 train, which is pretty darn good because we were using a 7+7. So $70 a share times 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's getting $490. So we'll just grab one of these 500s, hand it to him, and then put $10 back in the bank. And then Medici has, Wellington has shares of that. I think 3, in fact. So he's going to get $210. Mr. Wellington is. And I'm going to just bump up the stock right now. And Lawnmower is next. So we're going to just walk around the table. We'll give Medici his money, and Mr. Wellington gets $210. So this was Medici's money. And remember, we have to take away $4. And then $210 goes to Wellington for his 3 shares of MSP. Now, I almost forgot. MSP is buying a train. He has a 5+5. He only has 1 train. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800. I knew I was trying not to drop that. 850. So a stack of hundreds I'm just going to put right there. and he's buying the third 7 train, and he's going to buy the 4D side of it. Now, just to show you that when somebody buys the 4th 7 train, there's this card that you put in the game. It says the 8 trains are now available. So you can continue buying 7 trains if you like, or you can start buying those, which trigger the end game. Okay? Like I said, it's really nice to get the 8 trains and not the 7s. But if it's your turn and a 7's where you're at, you buy the 7. That extra money from having one more doubler is more. I'm not going to argue with that, but it's not worth waiting another whole round to get. So if you can get 4D now versus 5D later, take the 4D now. Obviously, Lawnmower's going, and he might buy the last 7 train, right? So that means the 8 trains are going to be unlocked. So when Kibbles and Bits goes, our company, we're going to have an opportunity to buy an 8 train, and we're going to buy the 8 train and not the 7, of course. And so we're going to benefit from going later in the game. And these other 4 companies are absorbing the 7 trains for us so we can get the 8 train. That's great. Now, the advantage of these companies is they're getting to take all the Y cities away from us, which, you know, we're not going to get to do. Now, Lawnmower has an advantage of the government GWR already put the Y cities down. Now, Lawnmower could put the Lil one down, right? So this Lil Y city is, you know, it could help us. The other thing is he only gets 6 track points, so for sure one of them is going to be London. So let's figure that out. And I'm going to put all of the, I'm going to scoot this over a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. I'm putting all of the Metropolis ones out and just sorting them. It's a good exercise to do. It'll save us time later. And you'll see a lot of them just say APS, and those are generics. And so Madrid, Birmingham, St. Petersburg, they're all getting the APSs. You can see Berlin is going to get its own, London gets its own, and Constantinople is actually going to go up to 4 tokens. So there will be an open token spot for the lucky person who puts Constantinople down. And what's funny is we could do that with Lawnmower, and then we get to be the one that puts the token there. I don't know if it's worth it. I think right now we need to get London down, because if we don't do London, no one will, or at least not until GWR goes again. And so London is worth 120, and that's a very valuable spot. So London is now in. And then the other thing we want to do is, remember, we do the strategy where we go to Amsterdam and then cut over. Now, this entire game, we've been talking about how the tokens absorb 1 C-zone. Now that we're at the gray tech levels, every one of these tokens absorbs 2 C-zones. So we can go from London, normally we had to go from London to Amsterdam, right? Because we could only cancel 1 C-zone. Now we can go from London to Hamburg without even having to spend a North Seas token. So it's going to make it easier to go to New York. It's going to make it easier for us to do all this. So, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to upgrade Hamburg because Hamburg is a Y city, and we want to make sure we get our Y cities in the game. So Hamburg is an important Y city, not just for Lawnmower, but also for BHB, which goes at the end of the game. So again, Wellington is helping his other company out. Because remember, BHB declared that this is the city that gets a plus 40 bonus. So why put a plus 40 bonus on a city that can't be upgraded? So this is an extremely smart move on his part to make sure BHB stays viable and makes him money. Okay, so Lawnmower has just a 5 train, and then of course his permanent 2+2. So his permanent 2+2 can actually go to New York. And I can show you how. The token automatically negates 2. Then he has a North Seas token, which will negate 1. So his 2+2 can go to New York, and then use these 2 whistle stops. His 5+5 can go to New York as well, because his token in London absorbs these, and his North Seas token has a 2 on it, and he only used 1 for his 2 train, and he can use the other one for this So you're gonna go from New York to here and to there, and then keep going on his path. Now the only drawback to this plan is we probably want to do Constantinople because it's worth 180. Even though New York is worth 160, Constantinople is worth 180. That's still better. So I need to think about this. We do have a token in Berlin. So Lawnmower can go straight from Berlin to Constantinople with his 2 train. And that actually might be what we're going to end up doing instead. New York to London is actually a really good run. We're looking at 160 plus 120, whereas this is 90 plus 180. So that's what? That's 90 plus 180 is 270, and this is 160 plus 120, which is 280. This is actually more valuable to go from New York to there. Now, the 5 plus 5 train is a different question. So what we would do is we would go from Constantinople to Berlin, then to Birmingham, and then to London. So we would just skip New York. That's it. We're just skipping New York. Okay, so let's do this. So New York to London plus 40 in whistle stops gets us 320 for the 2 plus 2. Then we're going to do 180 for Constantinople, plus 90 for Berlin, plus 80 for Hamburg, that's 3. Then 120 for London, 4. And then 80 for Birmingham, that's 5. And then we get 50 for the Pullman. And then we get 100 for whistle stops. So $102 a share, and he did that with just 2 trains. That's really good. So Lawnmower is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 102 times 7 is 714, and then why is it? Oh, we have one. That's right. And then 102 times 2, 204 from Medici. So let's do Medici first. $205. And $1 back. And then we said 714. So we'll give him a 500, 6, 700, 10, 12. 714 for him, and then we actually get 102 for ourselves. So I'm going to grab 102, and we're just going to put it on the board. We'll collect that when we give it over there. Okay, so Lawnmower did fantastic. And guess what? He's going to do even more fantastic because he's going to buy that 7 train for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 50. And yes, it wasn't as nice as an 8 train, but he is going to do amazing things with it. New York, London, he's going to get some nice stuff with this. So he now has his trains. He's in great shape. And we keep forgetting he has H, so he can even do even more C zones. So he's got an insane amount of C zones that he can do. Okay. H gives him 2 now, by the way. It gave him 1, and now that we're at the gray tech level, he gets 2 bonus C zones. So he can even go down to North Africa, for Pete's sakes. Okay, the other thing he can do is start thinking about spending C zone points to just go straight to here and skip Scotland, which is another cool idea. All right, Lawnmower is done. It was an amazing run for Lawnmower. Wellington is going to go out in style if he doesn't win. And MKV is next. MKV is a government. So let's take care of the government and do the things we need to do. I'm going to try to get this camera set up in a way that you can see it pretty well. I'm going to I'm taking this money and giving it to me before I forget who it belongs to. All right, since it's a government, we are going to do St. Petersburg. The Y cities are already done, so there's no need to rush there. So St. Petersburg is finally going to get the love it needs. And it is now a $100 city, which is nice. So that's 4 points. So he has 5 points left. And MKV, just taking a quick look, he has a 10 plus 10 route. So the Archangelisk is not worth as much as it used to be. So he doesn't like Archangelisk anymore, although it's still not the worst thing in the world. And so we're going to just try to get some of these regular gray cities out. So we spent 4 points, and then this is going to be 6, 8. And we're going to try to grab the ones that are on people's routes first. 10. Oh, he can't go to 10. He can only go to 9. So 6, 8. And then he could add a whistle stop here. I don't know if that adds any value to the game. I'm not trying to... So I'll add one just in case, but I don't think he needs it. And then the cities themselves are pretty... Actually, none of these are even on the routes because we ignore these. These are crappy cities. So they're at least upgraded a little. And like I said, MKV is a 10 plus 10, and of course it has a Pullman. And let's get started. So we're going to start with the Sevastopol here, this red zone. And it's worth 80, so that's 1. Kharkov is 80 for 2. Moscow is 100 for 3. St. Petersburg is 100 for 4. Finland is 80 for 5. And then we're going to add 80 and 80 for Warsaw, the 2 Y cities. That's for 6 and 7. And then we have to add 3 more. So we're going to add 60, 60. So 1, 2, and then Archangelisk is still 60. So we'll make that the 3rd. So that's 10 for 780. So then we have a $60 whistle stop. And then we have to have 9 $20 ones. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of them. So we actually have a few bonus. And plus 9 times 20. And then we have since it's a 5 plus 5, or a 4 plus 4, then we're going to add 40 for the Pullman. So MKV just got $106 a share. That was more than Lawnmower. Now, granted, Lawnmower was running on just one train, and this one was running at full capacity. Lawnmower will make more, but for this round, he is equivalent to Lawnmower, and that for a government company is fantastic. So at $106 a share, 2, 3, 4, 5, he has 6 shares, he gets $636. And so I'm going to grab a 500 for him, 600, 25, 35, 636. He is doing very well money-wise. He actually has $2,000 in cash. Okay, we actually have 2 shares of MKV ourselves, so 106 times 2 is 212 for us. So we're very happy we invested in MKV. I think we weren't sure what the right choice was there, but that was so far a great choice. And then that counts for 8 of the shares, so that means 2 shares are somewhere else. So I'm seeing that De Gaulle has one of them, so he's getting $106. So then this is what I'm talking about. The video is slowing down because I got to figure out who has MKV. And I see Wellington has a share. So I might be better served to just create like a section where I put all the players and then just all of their money is in the same spot so we could see who has what shares. Since we're all maxed out on shares, I could just like take these like little note cards and just write down how many shares of everything they have. That might actually save us some time. but then it takes me time to write it. So, okay, 106. Okay, MKV is done. Well done, MKV. Next up is Kibbles and Bits. So Kibbles obviously wants to upgrade Berlin. He wants to do a lot. And then we also want to help Vienna if we can. Our SB company would spend 4 to upgrade this. And then 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, he's not going to get to gray cities with any of this stuff. But Kibbles and Bits needs to upgrade things as well. And I'm thinking we may want to get Constantinople upgraded. Or Berlin. Yeah, we for sure want to get something that's going to help us. We want KBS to have a good run. So we're going to do Berlin for KBS. Because KBS does rely on Berlin to do what it does. So we're going to move these tokens out of the way. Berlin, by the way, is now worth 120, which is tied with London as one of the best cities in the game. Okay, so that's done. Train-wise, we only have a 5+5. So for his next 2 points, because that was 4 of his 6 points, we're just going to upgrade this. We're going to just help get one of the regular cities upgraded to a gray. And just help Austria to get a little bit of a leg up on its profits there. There was nothing else really to upgrade for 2 points, or at least 2 track points. Okay, so Berlin, let's start in over here. We're doing a 5+5 run, and so we got Levant there for 120, and then Constantinople is 180 for 2, and then it's 120 for Berlin for 3. Okay, so we're already at the Berlin, and then we have that Hamburg. So we have the Star Harbor in Hamburg, so we can include it or exclude it, but no matter what, we have a harbor there. So I get to add 2 more to my route. And so what I'm going to do, and I also have a North Seas token. So that Star Harbor token now counts as 2, negates 2 sea zones. And I'm going to show this to you. Before, we used to only negate this sea zone, and then I had to use my North Seas token to get 1 more sea zone so I can get to London. Now, these 2 are both negated just by the Star Harbor token, and I can actually get all the way to New York. See that? New York is now available to me because I have these 2 get negated by my token, and then I have a North Seas token that lets me get 2 more. So I can go to New York, but I can't like stop in London and then go to New York. So I have to stop in London and actually go somewhere, and then I'd have to find another port to go to New York. So what I can do is I can add Hamburg for $80 and then just go straight to New York for 160 instead of to London for 120. And to be honest, that's what I'm going to do right now because Birmingham, which is the other metropolis in Great Britain, has not been upgraded yet. If Birmingham was upgraded, then it would make sense to go to London and then Birmingham because those 2 together are worth more than New York. So we're going to add 80 for Hamburg and then 160 for New York. Okay, and then we have 5 times 20 in whistle stops, and then we're going to add 50 for our Pullman. So it's an $81 run. So not quite as good, but it was only a 5+5 train. So we're going to take that. So 81 times 2, 3, 4 times 7, we get 567. So I'm going to grab a 500 for us. And 50, 60, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now we got to figure out who else has KBS. There was 1 share of KBS unpurchased. That was a huge mistake. I thought KBS was sold out. Who was buying KBS? He was. Tchaikovsky was. Okay, so the shares of KBS are 280. Tchaikovsky was for sure going to buy KBS. There's no reason it would not have. So I'm going to give it to Tchaikovsky, but then I got to take a share away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away a share of the WW. And I don't know how else to fix it. KBS would have for sure been purchased. I mean, for Pete's sakes, they were buying RCP and stuff like that. And you might be thinking, well, why don't you just take away an RCP? Well, the only reason he bought RCP is because he was able to buy all the shares of RCP and make it go up on the stock board. So if we take away one share of RCP, it can no longer go up on the stock board, and then it's not as valuable. So there's like huge chain reaction effects that occur. So the best thing I can do is just take away one of its WW shares, because it doesn't like the WW company anyways, and we'll just give him KBS and be done. Technically speaking, he couldn't sell a WW company because you can't sell any shares that are more than 50% in the market, but we're going to let it go. And I'm just explaining that for rules purposes. This was a big oops. But if there was a player sitting here, he would say, I still have one share for sale, you know, because people try to, you know, sell their shares during the stock market. This was just a mistake because I was, you know, going through by myself. I don't know what I did wrong, to be quite honest. So 2 shares go to Tchaikovsky. So now here's what's weird. There's still 1 share of KBS out there somewhere. So let's figure out who has it. And you know what might have happened is I think Wellington did it. Because remember, there was this money sitting here, and I said, I think that's for me. And I put it in my cash, and I think, yeah, anyways, I think Wellington probably bought it. So 162. Wellington definitely has 1 share. Well, Wellington wouldn't have bought it because Tchaikovsky goes before him. So we can resolve that debate. And then $81 to Wellington. 75, 81. Okay, so KBS is done with its turn. It will buy a train, and it's going to buy an 8 train and trigger the end of the game, which, as you know, is not the end of the game, but it's triggering the end game sequence. So we're going to spend $1,000. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yes, he had $1,000, which is very impressive for a company to have $1,000. But I run companies really well. You'll see in games you play, either you're going to struggle to have $1,000 for your company or your buddies will. So we now have a 5D for kibbles and bits. That's the best you get. And 8 plus 8 is pretty darn nice too. The thing that about 8 plus 8s, I'll just tell you, it's really hard to find a route that hits 8 cities, especially when you have players trying to block you. So these 5Ds tend to be a little better. Okay, 8 cities, by the way, if you sit and do the math, 5D compared to an 8 plus 8, the 8 plus 8 is almost equivalent. It's just slightly under, assuming you hit some good 5D cities. Having that lumber company actually makes the 8 plus 8 better because one of your whistle stops is $60. So that's the kind of stuff that you've got to look at. But anyways, I'm digressing. We move up on the board. Chin is up. Chin is a government. So as a government, he would love to upgrade Madrid, but you know the drill. The Ys are first. And France might get screwed. Okay, so this is a really difficult one. So that's first. Second is the other Y city here. And there's a special one that does work. So that worked out really nice. So that's 4 track points. And then for 4 more, he can still get Madrid down. So I'm going to get this tray off of here so we don't keep destroying our track. So Madrid is just your standard APS here. So we get that in, and we're good to go. Okay, so what company is this? Chin. Chin has a 10. Couple of things before Chin takes its turn. Sorry, my hugest apologies. First one, MKV was a government company that ran, correct? Yes, it was. Remember, MKV was going to buy that 4 train from Lizard. So let's do that. That's the first thing. And so that means $175 goes to Lizard. And his money, of course, is right here. So no worries there. Lizard, I keep bumping my camera, sorry. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we just finished Kibbles and Bits' turn, and we bought the 8 train, which triggers the end game. The 8 train triggers one more thing. It triggers the rusting of all the 4 trains. So we got to come over here, and no 4 trains are rusting because these are all governments. MAV is the only one, and MAV is, and so we have to declare, are you going to go government? No, there's no governments. We go to Tchaikovsky. He, thankfully, because MKV went first, does not have any 4 trains. So he's saying, nope, I'm not doing any more governments, no 4 trains. Then we come to here, and thankfully, because GWR bought the 4 train from Lawnmower, there's no 4 train to melt here. So once again, nothing, and he's not going government with anybody. So now we swing around to De Gaulle, and there's no 4 trains to melt. He has 4 trains, but they're on his government, and he's not making any more government companies. So basically, you can see towards the end, nobody's going government anymore, and there's not even a 4 train going into the melted pile. And if you go to ours, we're doing the same thing. So some of this is because I'm playing all sides, and I'm playing this game the way I would play it for all these players, and that's exactly how I play it. I make sure no 4 trains make it on that board. So now it's the government's turn of Chin, and Chin at the end of his turn can take any rusted trains and add it to his arsenal. Well, guess what? There's no 4 trains for him to take. So this 4-7-10, he's stuck with it. There's nothing he can do. That's what he's going to have for the rest of the game, unless he starts buying that 5 train up there from RCP, which I think he's going to do. So anyways, Chin is up 4-7-10, and yeah, we spent all of his track points, 4, 6, 8. He has like 1 more point, but we're not going to worry about that. So let's figure it out. He's going to do, he has a 10 plus 10. So we're going to do the 2 Y cities for 80 each. So that's 2 of them. And then 100 for Madrid is 3. And then Portugal is 80 for 4. And then North Africa is 120 for 5. Casablanca is 80 for 6. And I'm going to stop there. There is 1 more red zone, this Melilla, but that one is only worth $40. So let's see if we can find more value elsewhere. Actually, the answer is no. So we're going to add Melilla for 40 for 7, and then just pick 1, 2, 3 of the red or the brown cities for 120 more for 10. So that's 700. And then we just got to make sure he has 10 whistle stops. This is a whistle stop. Don't forget that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, he's got plenty. So then we do 10 times 20, so it's going to add up 200 more. And since his highest tech train is a 40, he's going to add 40 for his whistle stop. So Chin got 94 a share. That's a respectable number for our government. So 94 a share, he has 2, 3, 4, 6 shares. He's getting 564 bucks, Mr. DeGaulle. And that is a number that will put him back in the game. Very good number for him. So he's off to a good start. So now we have the fun task of figuring out who else has Chin. We actually have Chin. We have 3 of them. So 94 times 3, we get 282. So far we've made some excellent choices on stock. Trust me, I didn't plan it out to be this way, but we're doing really well in our choices. But we made good choices though. Between the Spain government versus the France government, I think Spain is just much better off in this game. Maybe not in other games. Now there's a Chin somewhere else, and we got to figure out who. Oh, Mr. Tchaikovsky has it, so I'm going to give him $100, and we'll take $6 back. Okay, Chin is done. I'm moving him up on the stock board, and now it's Plum's turn. Plum is France, as you know, and France was screwed in the Ys. And what you're going to find is, since nobody's a government in Prussia, there's going to be no Ys in Prussia, and that's going to help even out some of this shortage of Ys. Also, we might not have enough Ys for Italy, but I think Italy's going to go next, so they're going to be fine. I'm looking around the board of where else are there Ys, and it's Prussia. Prussia's the one. But we're going to do France here, and France has 3 Y cities in it. And he does get 9 track points, and he's going to use all of them to do Y cities. He can't afford not to. So we have this one down here for Marseille, which is 2 track points. And then we're praying that we can find another special token, because we need another special token, and we do. So this is 4 track points here. So that's 6 track points total. And Lille is actually in the game. And then I'm realizing, oh, where's my green? I'm realizing he has 4 Y cities. I may have not have been doing his revenue right. So now we got another Y city. We'll do this one here. So it was 2, 4, 6, 8, and he's actually short. There's still another Y city he could have taken. So he's in a pickle. There's only 4 Y cities left in the tray. We might be okay. I'm looking at Italy. They're going to use 3 of them in Italy. So he might be okay, because unless somebody upgrades Amsterdam, he might be fine. Whew, that's going to be quite the thing. But he took as many as he could. And what he could have done was not upgraded Lille, but Lille is one of those extra special ones. So anyways, enough rambling there. Let's just get him running. Chin, by the way, was going to buy a 5+5 from RCP. So this 3 train is going back into the market. And the 5+5 for RCP is going to give RCP just under $240. So we're going to just say $235. Okay, so now we're back to Plum, and Plum is a 10+10 as well. So we do have a red zone for France. It's Algiers, And so that's going to be $100 for the red zone. It's $80 for Paris for 2. And then 80 plus 80 plus 80 for the 3 Y cities for 3, 4, 5. And then 60 for the other Y city for 6. And then I just need to find 4 more. And I can see a 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got them. And now it's whistle stops. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 7 upgraded whistle stops. So 7 times 20. And then I need to find 3 regulars. I see 1, 2, I do see 3. So I'm going to add 30 more. And then the Pullman's going to give them 40. So we got $85 a share. Still, it's not as good, but it's respectable considering that France isn't even fully upgraded yet. So at $85 a share, times 6, he's going to get 510. So just grabbing some tokens for him. And De Gaulle got a nice paycheck. Now, who else has Plum? I see Tchaikovsky has 2. So 85 times 2 is 170 for him. And then who else has Plum? Somebody else does. It's probably Mr. Wellington. So let's go over and get them paid. So Tchaikovsky is going to get 2 for 170. And I think Wellington's going to get 2 for 170. Yep. So 150, 70, and 150, 70 for him. All right. So I know, like, so you're seeing that there's some good money going to these other players. And so even though I was saying they were losing, they're not out. But they needed to do something to get back in, is what you really need to conclude from that. And I'm realizing I got all these dice in my pocket. So I'm going to take all these dice back. And let's do the stock board here. That was Plum. Now, Plum has 3 trains, so it doesn't need to grab trains from the market. And there's nothing, well, here's the thing. Plum can buy a 6+6 train from Bell, because Bell has a big stack of cash. So we're going to do that. So Plum is going to buy a 6+6, which is an amazing train for a government to have. Although he needs a lot of help getting those track upgrades. And that is going to give half the money goes to Bell. So Bell gets $300 out of that $600, and that's going to help Bell to buy a 7 or 8 train when it's his turn. So next up, I'm at an hour, so next up is SFAI. See you in a bit.